And here we are. Welcome, everybody, to RWE Tier 1 today, F1 round number 10 here at France Circuit Paul Ricard today. And we've got a full grid, as you can see. All 20 cars that we could possibly have are here, and it's a wet qualifying session. That's the first thing you'll notice, and that should make things very interesting indeed. Wet qualifying, I guess, not too sure about the race, but this should certainly change things up, because a wet qualifying, everyone's doing their best laps on intermediate tires. That means everyone, including the top 10, will get to start the race on whatever tire they want if it is dry. Let's take a quick tour around a lap of the Circuit Paul Ricard. Starting the lap now on this huge pit straight, pretty wide. The DRS zone normally, but not in the wet. Crispy locking up going into turn 1. A lot of undulation in turns 1 and 2 here. It's a very tricky exit. Normally in 5th gear, he's taking it in 4th just for caution's sake. As CTR Kaos is disconnected, I'll make sure to re-invite him in just a moment. Crispy now going through turns 3 and 4, a little wide there. Being very cautious, clearly, through turn 6 and 7. You want to get the throttle down as early as you can on that last right-hand corner, but it's very difficult. As you can see, struggling to keep the car on the road, even in a very subtle left-hand kink. And now going down the back straight, this is probably the best overtaking opportunity on the entire track into this heavy braking zone for the chicane. 4th gear entry. Go down to 3rd and then back up to 4th for the traction zone. Crispy doing pretty well to keep it pointed on the straight and narrow there. Purple Sector 2, of course, because he's the only Sector 2 time so far. Ooh, that right-hander is normally flat out in the dry, but I suspect he lifted just a little bit there, judging by throttle traces. Now into the Sachs curve. 4th gear corner. Again, doing a good job of sticking to the racing line here, hitting his marks. As Wang King is already retired. Oh, he's in the wall. Hold on a minute. Let's ride on board with one of the Mercedes cars. I think it's Mr. B who has a good... Oh, no. It was his teammate. Okay. Yeah, Mr. B had the best view there. We couldn't get to him in time, unfortunately. Let's try to go to Tiago's point of view. He's approaching Wang King's accident now. As Crispy sets an excellent lap time, 141.0, and unfortunately we haven't gotten to Tiago's POV quickly enough to see what happened to Wang King, but it looks like he crashed on the back straight on his out lap, no less. Extremely quick driver. He was our pole sitter from last race at Canada. And his pace is no different in the wet. Look at that, a 139.8, blowing the competition out of the water with that lap. No pun intended. Rush 400 and Baby Pluto both setting lap times, both in the 142.1 range. That's 5th and 6th for him, respectively. Epic J-Ball setting an invalid lap. RW Aiden coming across the line for a 142.6. Next one's going to be the AlphaTauri of Pyrosi. Again, apologize for the old-fashioned scrolling method. Pyrosi's invalidated his lap. Tragic Bronson now, he's traversing the 3rd sector. FRI Crispy just set another lap, I believe, but he hasn't improved. His time remains the same. So that's my guess. That's my official RWE weather forecast. Whether it's actually true, we're about to find out. Epic J-Ball coming around to start his first flying lap. He's under pressure now. This is probably going to be J-Ball's only chance, unless he has enough fuel in the tank to do 2 consecutive flying laps, in case he messes up this one. Ferrari coming up to the line now. It's Gas Girl, but he's already invalidated. So forget about that one. It's not affecting the timing sheets one bit. Rush currently going through the penultimate corner. He has not invalidated his time. It looks like he's slightly up on his previous time. Could he improve from 8th place? As Tragic Bronson is now retired, and it looks like he's done it in the... No, he hasn't done it in the pit lane. He's done it on track. As Rush improves by 4/10 up to 4th place. Well done to him, 141.0. As Ronhar now retires. Ronhar's not going to attempt another lap. That could leave him vulnerable to some of the faster guys here. Crispy, Vaccinator, Aiden. Pyrosi also retiring now. But I'm not sure why Pyrosi's done it. Purple 1st sector for CTR Kaos. What's happened to the AlphaTauri? He's just parked it up on track. Not the best place to park up your car after qualifying, but either way, he is done with the session, clearly. Go to Gas Girl. Gas Girl once again invalidating their lap. Yeah, the Ferrari driver, well known for making mistakes when it comes to the track limits, being very aggressive with them, and really gets more mid-race penalties for that than any other driver here. Still decently quick, though. Multiple-time point scorer, certainly. And Great Ace moving over. Looks like he's on an in-lap. His qualifying is just about done. Yeah, he's well down on his previous lap time as J-Ball goes third fastest out of nowhere. His first valid lap is automatically under the 141 mark. He is into the 40s and into that elite group, just ahead of his teammate by 5/1,000ths of a second. Certainly an excellent intra-team rivalry between the two McLarens. So well done to J-Bell. What's Rush going to do? He's going for another consecutive lap, and he's going to go P3 now. 140.782. The track is undoubtedly getting faster. It looks like it's actually stopped raining right at the end here, so Ronhar might have missed a trick by stopping his times midway through the session, because it's clear the rain stopped and the track is drying and getting a lot faster. Anyone else on a lap right now? Mr. B is on a lap right now. What can he manage compared to his previous time? He can improve by 0.6, but not improve his position, unfortunately. He'll still be 11th after that, as he's now retired. So everyone currently on a flying lap gets to finish their flying lap since the timer is at 0, but other than that, nobody can start a new lap from here on out. Racing Point coming out to the line, it's Squishy. What can he do? He can improve by 1.1 seconds, but also not improve his position. Yeah, that's just how much everyone's improving. You can shave a second off your lap time and still stay exactly where you are, just because everyone's getting that same benefit of the track drying out. So who else is left on a lap? RWE Pack currently thundering through the third sector. He's more than half a second up on his previous time. If he can keep that up, that'll put him ahead of SLRX Ferrari for 13th on the grid. Haven't covered Pat for this entire qualifying session. He is our lobby host and full-time Red Bull driver. It looks like he is going to improve his grid position at least slightly. How much time has he gained in the third sector? That's the crucial question. Plenty. 3 more tenths, and he's going to leapfrog SLR Ferrari, sure enough. Anyone else left on a lap? Great Ace has invalidated his lap, so I suspect he'll be retiring at any moment. Maybe Pluto, he's coming up across the line now. I think he's our last flying lapper. And he's going to be in the 41s, and it's a 41.5. He doesn't improve. He'll stay in 7th place. So it looks like everybody is done. Apologies for my mic troubles. And this is your starting grid. FRA Ronhar on pole once again, second race in a row, with a blistering lap time, the only one to duck into the 139s. Crispy will join him in P2, followed by Rush, Epic J-Ball, Batsinator, and Aiden, rounding out the top 6. And then Baby Pluto, CTR Kaos, Pyrosi, and Tiago all getting into the top 10. Mr. B, the championship leader, surprisingly absent from the top 10. He'll start P11, followed by Squishy, RWE Pat, Ferrari, and Black Sox, and then Gas Girl, Tragic Bronson, Great Ace, Wang King, and Miniscope. Really unfortunate to see Wang King and Miniscope both not setting any sort of flying lap time, either because of invalidations with Miniscope or because of a crash at the start, as was the case for Wang King. But don't go anywhere, folks. We're just getting into the race now. Qualifying is over. That was the boring part, if there is any boring part in league racing. Now it's time for the real deal. Welcome anybody who's just joining us. I see our viewer count just shot up briefly there. We're just starting the race now, French Grand Prix. 27 laps around the Circuit Paul Ricard, which is a pretty bad track in real life, but actually produces some excellent racing on the F1 game. So don't go anywhere. This will have you glued to your seats for the next 45 minutes or so. And it is a wet race. I was wrong. I predicted it would be a dry race because everyone was really using those single sets of intermediates during qualifying, but no. Looks like it will still be light rain, intermediate conditions. It could be wet to dry, like qualifying ended up being to some extent. But we are definitely starting in the wet. This is intermediate conditions. It's not raining hard enough to justify the blue-walled wet tires, unless, of course, the weather forecast calls for heavier rain later on in the race. Then it might be a gamble worth taking. Let's see the last car, Miniscope, now lining up at the very back, position number 20. And now, everyone is ready. It's time for the start of this French Grand Prix. Focusing on Ronhar for the launch. And they are off. It's an excellent start from Ronhar, pulling away from everyone immediately. Crispy, though, not as good, probably due to the cold tires. He's already been passed up by one of the McLarens. I think that's J-Ball. Both the McLarens, actually. Into second and third. J-Ball leading Batsinator at the moment. Crispy falling down the leaderboard early. Looks like that's, who's that? That's Russian fourth. The timing screens are a bit messed up right now, so I'm just going off of who's in which car. Crispy making his way back past one of the Williams cars. I believe that's Baby Pluto. Miniscope already getting a penalty for a collision further back with his teammate Black Sox. Not sure what's happened there, but he's already well behind the rest of the pack. And he's got a wing end plate missing. Front wing damage on the left side. So not good news for the man starting at the back. F1 Ronhar, meanwhile, being pursued by one of the McLarens. That is J-Ball. The timing screens are working themselves out now, and J-Ball is right on the back of him, only a few tenths away. Now, DRS will not be enabled at the end of lap 2 as it normally would be because we are in wet conditions, so that 1 second barrier is not as important. But Ronhar still needs to keep his opponent at arm's length to make sure he keeps that lead. Aiden, meanwhile, seems to have been involved in an incident as well because he's dropped like a rock from the top 10 all the way down to 19th. I'm not exactly sure what happened in that regard. And Wang King's around. Wang King in the Red Bull also not having a good time, losing most of his front wing there and hitting the wall a second time just for good measure. And now looks like the game has reset him to track. So he'll keep going, but in last place, and I suspect he will have to pit for a new wing. Meanwhile, Ronhar leading the first lap quite comfortably from the two McLarens of J-Ball and Batsinator. Both the McLarens having some surprising pace in the wet, certainly. The question is, can they maintain that? As Gasco gets a 5-second penalty for speeding in the pit lane. What is Gasco doing this early on in the pits? I didn't see them get any front wing damage early on, but no, they do have front wing damage, and they're going onto the full wet tire. So could that be an indication that the rain is going to intensify in the next few laps here? We're about to find out. Wang King gets a pit lane speeding penalty as well. A lot of people going onto the full wets. It would appear anyway. Let's see. Who else? No, Black Sox is putting on another set of inters. Yeah, I'm not sure what Gasco's getting at. Maybe the rain is going to get heavier soon, but it's too soon. The Haas's are double stacking. That's going to really hurt Miniscope. Cost him at least 5 seconds. Maybe even more as their team gets ready to receive him. They weren't even ready for him at all. But everyone filing out of the pit lane. A whopping 5 cars having to pit on the first lap there. That's just how chaotic this track can be in the wet. We haven't actually had a wet race at this track in real life just yet, but I'm sure we will sometime in the distant future. Meanwhile, Ronhar has gapped J-Ball significantly. 2.4 seconds is the gap. That did not take long at all to open up. But now the question is, can he get enough of a gap during the pit stop phases to really separate himself from the traffic that he'll emerge in? Batsinator, though, look at this. There's a swatch between the two McLarens. Doesn't look like any Team Orders are at play there. J-Ball still looking pretty punchy, but Batsinator making a pass for second, and J-Ball gets a track limits time penalty. It really cut the apex of turn 2, so no surprise there, but that is going to hurt him quite a bit. Pyrosi also getting a time penalty for the back for multiple track limits warnings. Going further down the field, there's plenty of action right now. It looks like Baby Pluto in the Williams actually has a bit of a Truly train forming behind him, consisting of Kaos, Tiago, Mr. B, and possibly Pyrosi as well. Yeah, he does not look very quick right now in 6th place. Let's see what Kaos can do on the back straight. He's pulling out from the slipstream of the Williams, possibly to get some more heat into those, I guess not some more heat into those tires, to cool them down. That's normally what they do when they go off the dry line in wet conditions. Looking to have just so much more purchase in that chicane, but not enough to make a move going into the 3rd sector. Oh, maybe. He's using up all his ERS now. So is Baby Pluto, but he's still getting gained on by the Renault. A bit of lag from CTR Kaos that could make the maneuver a little bit more difficult. Will he get it done? The Sachs curve, Baby Pluto going a bit wide, missing the apex ever so slightly, but Kaos doesn't quite have enough momentum. Meanwhile, CF1 Tiago just watching this battle with great attention, seeing if either of them make a mistake, seeing if he can capitalize on anything that they do. Meanwhile, further behind, things seem to be getting fairly spread out with Pyrosi, Squishy, Pat, Bronson, etc. Ronhar still setting fastest laps out in front. 4 fastest laps so far consecutively. Not bad at all from the Renault reserve driver. Oh, Crispy's making a move on Rush. Into turn 1. Is it going to work after all this preparation for Crispy? No, Rush is going to hold on. Has just enough purchase on the outside to make that work. Can Crispy come back into turn 3? No, he can't. Not enough room on the inside of that corner. Rush can just make his car wide and for the rest of Sector 1, but Crispy will have another chance on the back straight. Will he use it? Let's find out. 2 McLarens looking pretty stable at the moment. J-Ball doesn't seem to have the pace to live with Batsnader just yet. Oh, but Crispy has a huge oversteer moment coming out of turn 7. That's going to blunt his momentum, and look how much time he's already lost to Rush. Instead of being within striking distance, he's going to have to be in catch-up mode for a moment. There is Tiago's now solidly on the back of Kaos and Baby Pluto. It's pretty clear at this point that Pluto is holding up Kaos, and that's hurting Kaos and Tiago against FRA Crispy out in front, who's just able to attack Rush without worrying about what's going on behind him. What can CTR Kaos do in the 3rd sector? Still just too far back from the Williams, but Tiago's making a move. Tiago is starting to make moves into the Sachs curve. What can he do? Oh, he picks the wrong gear. I think shifting down to 3rd just blunted his momentum a little bit. Over-revved the car for a brief split second, and he's lost a bit of time now to the Renault. Kaos misses the apex. Yeah, a little bit sloppy from all of them right now, but that's allowing Mr. B into the fray. So we're going to have a 4-way battle now for 6th place. Gojira987 is in the chat saying Crispy's sweaty. Yeah, Crispy is certainly sweating quite hard in an attempt to get past Rush right now, but it's not working yet. Rush defending quite well from the onslaught of the Alfa Romeo. But Mr. B is now right on the back of Tiago. Tiago's on the back of Kaos. Kaos is on the back of Baby Pluto. Look at all this. It's very difficult to overtake at this track in the wet, but when it does happen, it really kicks off. Meanwhile, further back, SLRX Ferrari appears to be gaining on Great Ace. Racing Point versus Williams. These are the last cars in the order of drivers who have not, everyone behind them suffered some sort of damage on the first lap. Now we see Tiago in the frame already, so Gaskell not having a good time in these intermediate conditions. But meanwhile, Crispy and Rush. What do we make of these two? It really is amazing to see them duke it out. Ronhar sets another fastest lap. He's addicted to fastest laps. So someone needs to make him go cold turkey for a little while because he's 17 seconds now ahead of the 2 McLarens. I'm not sure how he's doing this. He just has some really blistering pace compared to the rest of the field. He's on another level. Who knows, at this point he might just get banned from the tier for being too good. We'll have to see. But he's coming up to a lap car now. I believe that's Miniscope. Yeah, that is his car number, number 8. Meanwhile, Epic J-Ball actually creeping back up on his teammate ever so slightly. The gap's been stable at around a second, but now it's down to 0.6. J-Ball maybe responding to a possible threat from Rush and Crispy behind, because it does actually look like the gap between Rush and J-Ball is coming down slightly. So as if a 6-way fight for 4th place wasn't enough, we could have potentially an 8-way fight over 2nd place in this race if everyone just gets a teeny bit closer together. Absolutely insane. J-Ball's actually out of ERS completely. He touched 0% there. Fascinator doing a much better job at this point. 60% of his battery left, and he's going to use quite a bit of it down this next straight and into the third sector. And Rush is now within a second of J-Ball. So Rush now gets to attack as well as defend, but that's arguably even harder than just focusing on defending. We'll have to see how he does it. Rush going a bit wide there. I think that's going to be a warning for track limits from the game. Rush seeming to struggle in high-speed corners, especially the Sachs curve. But he's still doing enough to stay ahead of Crispy, at the very least. Kaos, meanwhile, look at that. I thought he was going to make contact with Pluto there at the apex. But no, Pluto also, like Rush, doing just enough to stay ahead of the very aggressive car behind as Tragic Bronson gets a penalty now. Multiple warnings. Ooh, Pluto misses the apex in the final corner. He's not going to get a good run. What can Kaos do now? Pluto has plenty of ARS to defend with, but will it be enough? Looks like it will. Pluto's actually pulling away on the straight. He might be running a lower downforce setup to get that extra straight line speed, which is useful for both offense and defense around here. And Pluto just stays ahead. Look at that. Thiago actually falling back ever so slightly from those two. But that might just be because he's saving ERS for another charge in a lap or two. No pun intended on the charge reference. But now J-Ball has solidly been caught. Look at that. J-Ball just hasn't been smart with his ERS, it looks like. As I said, he dipped down to 0% briefly on that last lap. And now he's got Rush right behind him. It's J-Ball and Rush and Crispy fighting over third now, and they seem to be breaking away slightly from the Pluto Kaos Thiago group that's just battling tooth and nail over sixth. So it's a case of a lot of these guys either not being smart with their batteries or just fighting up other people too much, and it's wearing them down, losing them time. And all of this is even better for the top two, Ronar and Batchinator, who can just stay above all the chaos out in front. Rush, though, looking like he has more pace than J-Ball at this point in time. What can he do in the Sachs curve? Nothing. He's going to be pretty cautious, but that could open the door for Crispy. No, Crispy's holding back as well. No one wants to find themselves in the barrier with a wheel missing after every corner, so extreme caution is advised in wet conditions, to be fair. So far on the weather, it looks like it's pretty static so far. The rain level seems to be staying the same. Not sure if it'll be that way for the entire race, since we still have 17 laps for it to change, but so far, it really has held station in that regard. FRA Crispy still just not getting the power down quite well enough to get after Rush into turn one. And there's the yellow flag in the third sector, not sure who that's for. I'm looking at where the yellow flag is, and everyone seems to be going normally at the moment. So we'll just ignore that. Squishy makes a move on Pyrosi further back for the final points-paying position in 10th place. He's not lost him so much momentum. He's lost 2 positions in one straightaway, and he's got Baby Pluto right on his tail now. So Crispy into the podium position, Rush into 4th, but technically he is in a net 3rd because Crispy has a penalty so far, and Rush hasn't gotten one. And Pluto now, look at that, Pluto goes past J-Ball like it's no big deal. What's J-Ball been doing? The only thing I could think of that would make him so slow is damage. He doesn't have any visible front wing damage, but Thiago and Kaos still going by, and Thiago's actually overtaken CTR Kaos, and there's contact between J-Ball and Kaos. And Kaos and J-Ball just digging himself a deeper hole there. Mr. B now goes around the outside like it's no big deal. I don't know what's happened to J-Ball. If he doesn't have damage, maybe he's just taken too much out of his tires. Maybe he's been running in rich fuel mix for way too long, and now he's just gotten a super overheated engine. I'm really not sure, but he's pitting now. And J-Ball's race, which was looking like he could just bring it home for a podium, is now falling apart slightly. To be fair, he could get the undercut on everyone else on fresher tires, but how much is the undercut really worth when everyone's on inters? That is the question. What will he be able to get out of those new tires? And is the problem even with tires to begin with? Anyway, CTR Kaos, he's been passed by Thiago, as I mentioned. Some squabbling between them has allowed Baby Pluto to get a little bit of breathing space. And now this is a fight over 5th rather than 6th. And Kaos still not into 6th yet, despite the fall of J-Ball. And he doesn't quite have the momentum down the back straight to have a go at the Ferrari into the chicane. At least I don't think he does. He's not going to go full send, I don't think. Nope, no Daniel Ricciardo-esque moves here today. Kaos jumping over the curb a little bit on the entry there. I'm not sure if that'll be a warning for track limits or not. Mr. B, meanwhile, just watching the battle intently in the background. And Crispy, he's now chasing down Vaccinator. Look at this. Rwe Crispy is within a second of Vaccinator. Looks like he has plenty of pace compared to what J-Ball had before. And he could snag second place here. He could get his grid position back in a matter of laps. Of course, Vaccinator won't be an easy target to be certain, but could still happen. And what's going on with Kaos? Looks like he lifted on the straight there. I'm not too sure. Maybe he's having some tire temperature problems. But it looks like the rain is actually getting heavier now. More spray coming off the cars. It's a bit hazier. Could this light rain be transitioning to heavy rain? That is entirely possible. It's not really going to give everyone. It's not really going to give anyone an advantage, since everybody has already had their pit window open and close. But if people go on to full wets, if they're forced to do that, then that could add a whole new strategy dimension to this race. If the rain gets too heavy, do they go on to full wets and have that superior pace, or stay on the inters to the end and keep that track position? It will be an interesting equation. But Mr. B right now, he's not caring about math too much. He just wants to get past the Ferrari of Tiago, but it's not happening yet. He's taking a very tight line around the final corner, but he's not going to get enough momentum to have any sort of a go at Tiago. But Kaos, look at this. CTR Kaos is going to get a great run into turn one. He's going to get alongside Mr. B before the corner this time. And Mr. B backs out. Look at that. And the safety car is out. Who's ahead? Oh, I think Mr. B just stayed ahead there, saved by the safety car. And Wang King is now out of the race. It looks like he's had another crash in the same spot that he did in qualifying. I'm going to ride on board with Crispy to see what happened. Yeah, he's in the exact same place as he was before when he retired on that occasion. His car just despawned, so we can't see exactly how it looks, but again, I guess he just must have got oversteer through turn 7. He just couldn't control it and went into the wall and lost a wheel. Black Sox is coming into the pits. He actually hasn't pitted yet. Or he did pit, but at the very start of the race, so it's a good opportunity for him to go on to a much newer set of intermediates. And that could give him a slight advantage over his competitors for the rest of this race. I don't think he's going to lose the position to Great Ace. Okay, all three of them have been invited back. And here we go. It's time for the restart. And Crispy. What just happened to Crispy? Did he... Oh, he's pulled a Grosjean. He spun under safety car. Look at that. Rwe Crispy is just choked and fallen out of the points. And that's going to give Ronard the lead, it looks like, because Crispy is way down now. And Rush in second isn't even within striking distance. He's already 2.2 seconds behind in the very fast Renault. So I think that Ronard is going to be our race winner unless he makes a major mistake, just like Crispy did there. What have you done, Crispy? You might not even get points now, let alone a podium or a win. By the way, there's still plenty of action to enjoy. The Baby Pluto train continues, except now the Baby Pluto train is all about the podium. Crispy Smith means it's now up for grabs between Baby Pluto, Tiago, Mr. B, and Kaos, plus Exclusive Pyrosi and Vaccinator. All of them vying for position. With this, Tiago's right in the back of the Williams. Is he going to make a move into the chicane? Around the outside, he switches to the inside. He's going to go for it, send it, and he's around. No,
you have wing damage.
Kaos
This will
hits
be a
him.
major performance impact
Kaos
unless
is
you
from
box
damage,
from
and Tiago is spun. That's going to be a stewards inquiry, I think. Baby Pluto just turned in on the Ferrari. I'm not sure if he had enough space in the track limits or what, but that was a very messy affair. But Baby Pluto will maintain his podium position, and Kaos's challenge for said podium is going to be blunted here. So it's now a two-horse race suddenly between Baby Pluto and Mr. B, unless Vaccinator can catch up. Which he very well might, considering his pace for the rest of this race weekend. Kaos has already fallen out of the points. Great Ace is up to 12th, actually, from 16th. I'm not sure how he's done that, but he has. Up 4 positions from his No Man's Land restart. Crispy's falling even farther down the order. I'm not sure if he has damage or something, but he's down to 14th now as Ron Hart sets another fastest lap of the race. We're continuing to watch Baby Pluto and Mr. B go at it, and Vaccinator is definitely catching them. He's gotten the gap down to less than a second now. And further back, there's plenty of shuffling. With this Aiden and Pat going side by side into turn 1. Pat has to yield there and Aiden gets by for 9th, and now he's going to chase after Tiago. Tiago, thankfully, escaping that spin without car damage, at least, and he's going to go after into turn 3. Look at that, they're side by side. they're still side by side in turn 4. What is this? They make a little bit of contact. Miniscope rejoins the race. And more contact. Aiden is now muscling his way through, trying to get past Tiago, and that's going to help Pyrosi have a bit of a reprieve, maybe for half a lap, if that. Pyrosi gets a time penalty, though, for track limits warnings. Tiago has the advantage of not having gotten a time penalty at all so far this race. But will he be able to flex that advantage and get past Pyrosi? Meanwhile, Mr. B, Baby Pluto side by side. Baby Pluto still defending for his life, and that's bringing Batsinator and Squishy into the battle now. Tiago and Kaos being replaced in the battle for the podium by the Racing Point and the McLaren. Mr. B up the inside into the Sachs curve. Can he get it? Can he make it stick? Yes, he can. Baby Pluto falls behind Batsinator as well. Batsinator follows him through. What can Pluto do to come back? I'm not sure he can do anything. Mr. B's used all his ERS deployment. That's going to put him at a disadvantage for the rest of this lap, but the rest of this lap is not much. Batsinator now is going to make move into the final corner. He's going to think about it. No, not quite. He's going to try and get a good run. Can he do it? What can Batsinator do into turn 1 to get that podium position back? There's a yellow flag in the third sector. Kaos is out. Kaos is spun into the barrier further back in the Sachs curve, and he's out, and there's a virtual safety car. What a restart this has been. He's currently about 1.2 seconds behind the Mercedes. Can he keep it? Can he keep the gap lower, or is he going to get distracted by a Squishy? Squishy is on the attack here. Certainly on newer tires than Pluto. Only barely, though, by 1 lap. Not going to try it into turn 3. He's desperate, but not that desperate. Batsinator gets another time penalty for warnings. He's up to 9 seconds now, and that's going to open the door for Tiago to snag 6th from him. Batsinator has had so many up and downs. He immediately took over 2nd place from Crispy at the start of the race, but it's been all downhill from there. And now it looks like he could be losing out positions not just to Tiago, but also to Aiden. He's pretty close behind Tiago, and he also has fewer penalties than the McLaren. Squishy, though. Squishy doesn't care about Batsinator anymore. He cares about getting past Baby Pluto as soon as possible because he wants a shot at this podium. Will he get it? Let's ride on board and see. Gojira saying in chat, Batsinator has wing damage. Pointing that out, I missed that. But yes, Batsinator is definitely getting pulled away from by the top 5 and getting caught now at a decent rate by Tiago and Aiden. So Batsinator could potentially even fall out of the points here with his penalties. Again, let's check the penalties for the lower parts of the top 10. And yeah, the situation definitely favors Tiago and Aiden. Pyrosi not so much. He's got a ton of penalties and it's going to fall out of the points because of them. So great ace. Actually great ace. That means he could score points here, as there's another Haas around in the 3rd sector. I think that's Miniscope again. But wow, great ace in the Williams. That would be a great day for him. Great ace. One of the slower drivers on the grid. There's no way to hide it. But yeah, he works hard, he perseveres, and sometimes he gets points in frantic situations like these. I believe the last time he was in a position like this was all the way back at Spain, 4 races ago. But Squishy, again, he doesn't care about any of that. He wants to get past the Williams. Baby Pluto just went pretty wide onto the back straight. That's going to hurt his run. Squishy could potentially have a chance into the chicane. He's going to get close, but how close? Not close enough, I don't think. He's going to hold station. But it's the penultimate lap. He doesn't have a lot of time left. Gojira saying, great ace in the points. That's rare as hell. Yeah, it is. Most certainly. But mainly because of Pyrosi's misfortune with the penalties. He's been involved in a lot of stuff. Ronhar, good pace, says Wimmy1972 in the chat. Yeah, Ronhar has been dominating today, and he's going to deserve every bit of this win after what happened to Canada, especially. Now it's Aiden going after Tiago for 7th place. Aiden and Tiago, again, they're both catching Batsinator right now, the McLaren of Batsinator. But if they battle, if they fight, if they squabble, then that might cost him a chance to get after him for 6th towards the end. They both have fewer penalties than the McLaren, but that could change if they fight too much and push the track limits. So what'll Mr. B do here? He's going to hang back, it looks like. He's going to use a lot of his overtake, but he's pretty far behind. When he says Rainmaster, my son, what do you mean Rainmaster? He's just the master in general. He got pole at Canada in dry conditions by like a second and a half or something. Really is ridiculous how Ron Har is doing. I think he'd be less interested in the RWE crowd and more in the TSRL Split 1 crowd or something like that. But Squishy and Baby Pluto, this battle continues. Baby Pluto still looks to have less grip at this point, but not enough of a difference for Squishy to really take advantage of. It's the final lap here. This could be Squishy's final overtaking opportunity into the back red chicane. Is he going to send it? No, he's too far back. Squishy might have to settle for 5th place here. He can't beat Baby Pluto on penalties because Pluto simply doesn't have any. And Baby Pluto could steal the podium because he has fewer penalties than Mr. B. So it looks like Mr. B is actually going to fall down not only behind Baby Pluto, but also Squishy as well. So it's going to be, as it stands, Ron Har, Rush, Mr. B, or sorry, Ron Har, Rush, Pluto, Squishy, and Mr. B. That will be the top 5. But ahead of the guys that have been squabbling the entire time, it is FRA Ron Har in the Renault with an absolutely dominant win here in France in the tricky conditions. And Rush 400 is going to come through for a very unexpected P2. When FRA Crispy's race went sour on the restart, he was there to pick up the pieces, and it's going to be a solid 18 points for him. And rounding out the podium on penalties will be Baby Pluto in the Williams. Squishy in tow, behind him in 4th, Mr. B will be 5th. Batznader comes across the line in 6th, but Tiago is going to take the position away from him. Aiden got a penalty right at the last moment there, so that's going to drop him down the order slightly. Pat getting 9th and great ace in the Williams. Scoring points in 10th. What a story that is for him. SLRX Ferrari was only 7/10 off of him, but it was great ace, without a doubt. They came out on top. Behind them, Pyrosi falls down from 9th to 12th on penalties. Really sad for him. I'm sure he'll get some of those removed, but it might not make a difference. Black Sox 13th, Tragic Bronson 14th. Crispy, after looking so good for a podium, has to settle for nothing. Then Miniscope, Gas Girl, and your retirements were CTR Kaos, Wang King, and Epic J-Ball. Oh my. What a race that was. France never ceases to amaze me. It sucks so much in real life, but it's just so good in this virtual setting. It's amazing. Squishy is driver of the day. Not sure I'd agree with that. There are certainly plenty of candidates. Great ace, perhaps. Baby Pluto had a ace performance compared to his qualifying. Although it might just be Ron Har purely because he's a cut above the rest of civilization today. Now, Ron Har doesn't actually have a mic, so unfortunately we will not be able to interview our race winner. But we will get Rush in here, and we will get Baby Pluto in here, and on how things went. Hey, Rush, go ahead and tick your box real quick to include audio. Just waiting on Baby Pluto.
Oh, yeah, Pluto for him.
And there is Baby Pluto. Make sure you have your box ticked, gentlemen. Ron Har will not be in here since he doesn't have a mic. Yeah, let's get down to interviews real quick. Ron Har, the winner, he's not here, so forget about him. P2. Rush, well done to you. What would you say is the key that helped you snag the podium today?
Consistency, I would say, I guess. I was noticing 2 warnings the whole time, so at the end there I was just really taking it easy, but I didn't make any overtakes really or anything. I just took it easy all race and made sure I kept the car.
Yeah, the lack of penalties on your end certainly helped. Pyrosi, unfortunately, falling out of the points because of penalties, although some of those were questionable. Safety car collisions are always questionable. But anyway, Baby Pluto, how about you? You were defending like an absolute master for pretty much all of that race. You just let Mr. B past you in the very end.
Yeah.
Tell me more about how you were able to do that.
Well, I think again the reason me and Rush really had the podium is because the point. Sorry, a single penalty. You know, like everyone around me had a penalty. Like Batsiner had 6 seconds, Mr. B had 3, and then at the end he had 6. You know, that's really got me the podium. But also like I practiced a lot in the dry though, not in the wet. So I knew the track limits very well. So I was able to really. And my start was phenomenal. I I was 7th to 5th in the beginning. So that's good.
Mine was too.
Yeah, I'm honestly, Pluto, I might call you a driver today just because you
I had a with like Kaos playing with me. I think Tango. We had a little Tango. That was a good battle with him as well.
I felt so bad for Crispy. The race.
actually see what happened at first. I had to switch to it. And I think I'm thinking, he's facing the wrong way. What's going on here?
Dude. The tires are so cold, I couldn't heat mine up at all.
Yeah, I've done that before.
Yeah, when I was
At this
behind
track.
Rush, I just saw him just yeet.
Yeah,
Lost
just
it.
went off the track.
Yeah. Well,
Bold
congrats to
tires.
both of you guys on your podiums.
Thanks, yeah.
I'll let you guys
Thank
go
you.
now.
Stadium
That
podium.
was good. GG, Pluto.
Yeah, GG.
All right, and with that, we're going to wrap up now. Don't forget to tune in every Saturday at noon for more RWE F1 action. Next week, we'll be going to Austria, the Red Bull Ring, one of the best tracks on the calendar. 48, and it's been a pleasure. What a great race. Congrats to our winners and our podium finishers, and hopefully we'll get another new batch of them next week.